afternoon, good morning, wherever you are, people. This is Kapil Chawla with another episode of Family Constellations. As you know, I have recently started exploring family constellation, and I suddenly got addicted to it. So I thought, why not interview some people? So in this series today, I bring with you Nibha Rajpal. She's a leading family constellator in India. She facilitates a lot of family constellations. So welcome, Nibha.
Hi, Kapil. How are you? Good
I'm
morning.
good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Kapil. How are you doing?
Great. So please introduce yourself to my audience. Like, what profession you are into? What is this family constellation facilitate?
All right. So, since you're asking me about constellations, let me first begin with a little bit about myself. My name is Nibha Rajpal. I'm from Lucknow. I was born and brought up in Lucknow. And professionally, I am first an MBA finance. I worked in the banking industry for about a decade. And then about a decade ago, I just moved out of the banking space and moved into the space of wanting to work with people. And that started my journey of self-discovery and personal growth. And I did a lot of self-help programs to just understand how the human psyche works. What is it that drives a human being? What is it that creates certain things in us that make us powerful and effective as people, and what are the things that hold us back? So for me, primarily, it was a journey of self-discovery. And while I was on this journey, I did a lot of programs. I did the Landmark Forum. I did the spiritual side, Sri Ravi Shankar. And of course, the background of India is about knowing all the scriptures, which automatically existed as the base within my family. So going forward in my 30s, I wanted to apply all these things in my life and see how my life shifted. And I stumbled into hypnotherapy, clinical hypnotherapy, when I met a clinical hypnotherapist, and I did not know that I was going to meet a clinical hypnotherapist. And that's when it started taking a form for me. I learned clinical hypnotherapy. I started practicing clinical hypnotherapy, got introduced to how the subconscious mind works. What is the difference between the conscious and the subconscious mind? What is the interplay between the ego and the self? What is the interplay between the identity and your inner self? What is the interplay between the mind, body, and the soul? While I was working with hypnotherapy, and what are the various layers of the mind? That you have thoughts, you have emotions, you have energy, and you have the physical body, and all of that constitutes the mind. So that kind of made it multi-layered and intricated. And that's what actually started my journey. And from there, I became a counseling psychologist, did my master's in counseling psychology, became a practitioner of counseling psychology. And from there into transpersonal regression therapy from the Tasso Institute in Netherlands. And from there, a practitioner of family constellations. In between, I did several other modalities. I still keep learning. That is my journey of self-discovery, and I'm still going forward. I wouldn't say I'm complete. I'm learning as I'm serving.
So everyone, I think, has to go through this self-discovery to help other people. That's, I think, everyone does that.
I think when people say that charity begins at home, it means that yourself first. when we are charitable to ourselves, creates the space of being a possibility of service to others, not help, but service.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
So that's about my education or history or journey as how I became a practitioner of constellations.
So what is family constellation?
Okay. If you talk about family constellations, let me begin by saying that it is a modality that was introduced to the world by a German psychiatrist called Bert Hellinger in the 1990s. And he explained a family constellation as the cosmos is full of stars, right? And the stars exist in a group or a formation, which is called a constellation. And we as humans, when we are born, we come from the stars and we are born in the same constellation as we are in the universe. So constellation on Earth, or for us in the human parlance, becomes that if there is any sort of distortion or movement from your space, from your position in the constellation, it starts impacting your life negatively. As long as you stay in the same constellation as you were born from in the stars, life will flow smoothly and beautiful. In a crux, that's how he explained it. But maybe that is too fantastical or philosophical. So I will come to how we would work as a modality in constellations. So constellations is a modality. I would not call it a therapeutic modality, though people do heal out of it, but it is a facilitation model wherein we are working on the issues that a person is facing in their lives and facilitating the restoration of those issues just by unblocking the flow of energy, life energy in a person's life. Now, that blockage could be created due to various reasons. But the primary function is to restore the energy of life, the energy of love, which is the prime directive to live a human life. So when we talk about constellations, we follow three fundamental things that we need to check. The first is everybody has the right to belong. From where they are created to whomsoever they are born, irrespective of our actions, irrespective of our karma. Everybody has an equal right to belong. Second is that nature follows an hierarchy. So do families. The old ones have to be respected as the old ones. The young ones have to be given the position of their own space. And this position needs to be maintained, honored, and respected. The hierarchy needs to be maintained. Because in the natural order of things, in the natural order of Earth, things are in an ecosystem. Similarly, family dynamics also is an ecosystem of energy. And these three orders, the belonging, the hierarchy, and the third one is balance, that an equal exchange of give and take. These things create or maintain the ecosystem of a family or a family system, basically. If any of these three things are not maintained, it creates an imbalance in the ecosystem, which starts creating blockages in the energy. And the longer it stays unresolved in the space, in the family system, generation by generation, the deeper the issues get and the deeper the dysfunction gets. So when we are doing constellations, we are primarily trying to identify the things that are stuck or blocked or hidden or dysfunctional in the system, and just finding the cause of it and removing. The moment you address the cause, there is no reason for the energy to stay stuck. Once it starts flowing, automatically in some time, for some people in a few weeks, for some people in a few months, for some people in a few years, they start seeing shifts in their life happening. One more thing to take into consideration is that constellation works at the level of the soul of a person. So anything and everything that happens in a constellation is by the sanction of the person's soul. We have seen tremendous amount of work happening in a constellation, and we have seen very little work happening in a constellation. That primarily depends upon the level of awareness or readiness a person is holding in order to address whatever issue that they have come to us with to work on.
Okay, that was got good explanation. Thank you for that. So, like, there are hundreds of modalities like NLP, and you talked about others as well. So, what are the benefits of FC or family constellation vis-a-vis other modalities?
Okay. See, when you're talking about modalities, understand that no modality is complete in itself. Okay, I mean, I am a practitioner. I practice NLP. I've attended the Landmark Forum. I practice counseling. I practice CBT, I practice transactional analysis. I practice subconscious modalities, which is hypnotherapy, inner child work, life between lives. I also practice transpersonal regression, practice shamanism. I practice all these modalities. And let me say that in my years, almost a decade of working through these practices, to say that one modality has everything is not true. Because each modality is addressing a certain layer of the mind, a certain layer of the soul. If you talk about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, it is trying to reprogram your brain by rewiring your neurons by the way of reprogramming your language. Language, the language that you're speaking, and your body language as well. Whereas when you're talking about constellations, it has nothing to do with your language at all or your mind at all. It has got to do with your belief systems that you might have created as a result of your own personal experiences in life. Belief systems or patterns that you have been carrying because you belong to a certain lineage, because you belong to a certain system. There are so many things. When a child is born, let's say if two children are born, and there has been research done on this, that twins were born, one was kept in one family and the other was kept in another family, and the two families were very, very different in terms of their upbringing. And in some things, the children were very, very different, and in some things, the children were very, very same. So there are certain things that are coming to us through our genes, through our lineage that we are born to, that we carry with us. And there are certain things that come to us through our lineage, through our nurture, which is our own experiences of life. Each of these creates belief systems or patterns that drives our behaviors. Now those behaviors, we can say, are mind. But at soul level, we also need to understand that at the level of the soul. And since I'm an Indian, we do talk about karma, we do talk about past lives, we do talk about reincarnation, we do talk about learning lessons. In any particular given life, a person has come to a life to learn something. And the soul chooses the family where you will get the best lesson that you need to learn in order to be able to upgrade yourself or create a higher degree of wisdom in your own space. So you will manifest that kind of behavioral patterns. When you're working with an FC, you're able to unwind these behavioral patterns, these things that you're carrying from the lineage, which you may not be aware of that exist. The beauty of the constellation space is that something might have happened 10 generations ago, which nobody knows in your family. But if it is playing out in your life, it will show up in the constellation. And once you address that in the constellation, automatically your life starts shifting. There are certain belief systems that might have happened due to a traumatic incident in your life, but it gets repressed because we are programmed to move on and survive. But it might create a blockage in your own space because it might have left you frozen, it might have left you disconnected, it might have left you abandoned, it might have left you in a space where you don't know how to process. But if it is one of the factors that is impacting any area of your life, be it your relationships, be it your career, be it your success, be it your land deals, anything, be it your health, it will come up. Because your behavioral patterns are ways that you have come up with in each given situation, in each given experience, in order to find a way to move through it, move on from it, and still find a way to live your life. Because at the end of the day, the energy of love is always choosing or moving towards life. So in constellations, you get to address things you know, you don't know, seemingly a pattern that you know about, seemingly an anger, but that anger might not be yours. It might be that of an ancestor who became an outcast. And once you give that ancestor their proper place and you just acknowledge them as the ancestor, automatically your feelings, your pattern might just step out and your life will start moving just beautiful. Now, the funny thing is that there might be the same pattern in a person's life, or two siblings coming from the same family obviously have the same pattern that is coming to them from the lineage, but it might play out differently in each person's life. So the same pattern might affect sibling 1 as X in the relationships and sibling Y in their career, because that tweak would happen based on their personal experiences, where it is that they are weak or they don't have confidence that's hitting them. So irrespective of whose space it is, whoever wants to address it, each person is unique and each person is impacted by their own lineage uniquely, even though they might belong to the same lineage. So that's what makes it interesting. That's what makes it unique. That's what makes it precise. And you start seeing the results in a few weeks to a few months' time, depending on how ready you are. So that just makes Constellation a fantastic space to work with.
Got it. Thank you. Now, you have mentioned other therapies as well and other modalities you practice, but specifically for family constellation, if my audience wants to reach you, can you share your details over here, like your
Yeah.
social media platform or website or telephone?
Yeah. So social media wise, I am available on Facebook. I'm available on Insta, and I'm available on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, you can just search for me with Nibha Rajpal, which is my name. On Instagram, also, you can just search me as Nibha Rajpal and you will find me. On Facebook, I have my Nibha Rajpal page also, and my workspace also, which I call Trans to Transcendence. I do have a Google page which is called Trans to Transcendence if you search for it. And you will find me there. As far as my contact details are concerned, the easiest way to reach me would be through my mobile number on my WhatsApp, which is it's an India number. So the code is +91 and then the 10-digit go as 96489 42137. So this is my WhatsApp number. You can Insta me, you can WhatsApp me, you can Insta me, you can Telegram me. I'm on all these platforms. And if you want to reach out to me by email, then my email ID is nibrajpal, NIBRAJPAL @gmail.com, and you can book a session either way, whichever works for you. I work offline as well as online. And the beauty is that with COVID being the instigator that it was, it's brought therapy into the online space. So geography as such has become redundant. So irrespective of who wants to reach out, online therapy, online constellations, online counseling, everything is possible with my personal space.
Okay, thank you. I'll be putting these details in the description. So let's also understand like what specifically attracted you towards FC, like to become a FC facilitator.
What attracted me to become an FC facilitator is that, like I said, I'm in a journey of self-development, on self-discovery. While I was practicing as a hypnotherapist and a transpersonal regression therapist, I got to know that one of my trainers, Yuvraj Kapadia, was holding a constellation workshop. And I went and attended the workshop for 2 days. It was a 2-day in-person workshop at that time. And in 2 days, I got to attend back to back like 18 sessions. So it was quite exhaustive. And yet, irrespective of what issue was being placed at the level of the physical body, at the level of the relationships, at the level of work, business, at the level of your chakras, at the level of your energy, at the level of your business, you choose it, and there was a way to resolve it, or there was a possibility to clean it up in the space. And of course, I underwent a personal session of my own as one of the participants. And in 6 months, I saw whatever was happening or whatever I did in the constellation started reflecting in my life. So that kind of made me curious about what is driving the space that this shift is possible. And being the inquisitive person that I am, wanting to always learn, I wanted to understand the how so that I could apply it again, once again, to myself first. So I just asked my trainer who he had learned from. And when he told me, in fact, I asked my trainer to teach me, but he said that he doesn't train. And I asked him, who should I go to? And he mentioned his trainers, Yuval and Morgan, or Systematica. And I went to them to train and I learned from them. And from there, my journey started because I just wanted to understand the in-depth work that is going into creating a space like this.
Got it. So when you got trained, like mostly we do go a lot of training, but there's only one point about it, like there's one moment from where one starts that, and a lot of hard work gets into getting training, but then at one moment the person gets transformed into a facilitator. So what was that moment?
So it's interesting that you're asking this question because while I was learning with Morgan and Yuval, Morgan taught family constellations while Yuval taught structure constellations. Okay. So Morgan was all about being right in the space, teaching you about the basics of how do the family dynamics work. Whereas Yuval had a more alternate space, or he was more tangential. So he would work on issues. He would work on how do I place it? Like I would say family constellations, what would you place? You would place your family, either the family you're born into or the family you marry into. But Yuval would work with issues. I have an issue with my confidence. I have an issue with my with a sense of belonging. So these were not directly related to family. They would move to family sooner or later because the source is family. But his approach was something that really intrigued me. And the funny thing was that he found my way of doing constellations equally intriguing. So in one of the learning sessions, he asked me to do a constellation for myself, which was a tetralemma, which is when you are stuck between two choices or two spaces and you just can't seem to find a solution. And he asked me to do a representation for my entire batch, wherein there would be no one else. I would be the client and I would be the facilitator both, and it would be a silent constellation. As I did that constellation, I finished it, and people questioned that since you are a facilitator and you were the client, how do you now know that you were not making those movements to the things that you wanted to create, basically? And for me, that was a very deep constellation because uh, I was offered a position in a company at that point to be India's CEO of a conscious working modality at that point, vis-a-vis my therapy space. And I wanted to do both. So I was in a dilemma at that point as to, do I go for that jump, that prestige of being the India CEO of a company that was growing well, or do I continue with space of therapy because that was integral to me and had been integral to my personal journey? And when I placed that constellation, I got that answer. And when those questions were asked to me after I completed the constellation, and Yuval came across and said to me that, no, I saw the way she was working with the constellation. She was not moving it on her own. It was happening very systematically. There were deep thoughts going on, and the movement was happening at the level of the awareness of the soul, not based on what she wanted to create personally. When the constellation was completed, what came at the end of the constellation was that the whole space collapsed. And 2 months later, the exact thing happened in my life. And that cinched it for me that this is it. What I'm doing by the sanction of the soul for myself and for others. And I have the blessing of my trainer because I had asked him and he had told me, you have no idea where you're going to take constellations. So when that happened 2 months later, it was like, go ahead and do it. And I don't think I've looked back since then. So that's what I think that was the defining moment for me.
Thank you for that experience, because I understand that's what important when you get encouragement from your mentors. And that was basically my last question. But once again, I would request you to give me and my audience details. How do they contact you? So please, once again, give those details.
So like I said, the easiest way to reach out to me by phone or by WhatsApp. My number is +91, which is India code 96489 42137, which is my contact number. I'm available by phone. I'm easily accessible on WhatsApp, easily accessible on Telegram on the same number. If you are a person who needs social media, you can reach out to me on Instagram by the name of Nibha Rajpal. There is no spaces, it's all small letters. You can reach out to me on Facebook by the name of Nibha Rajpal. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn by the name of Nibha Rajpal, and you will find my details there. You can drop your messages and I will reach out to you. Also, you can look for my Google page, which is called Trance to Transcendence, and my contact details are there as well. Or if you're a person who prefers email, my email ID is nibrajpal, N for Noida, I for India, B for Bombay, R for Rajasthan, A for America, J for Jaisalmer, P for Paris, A for America again, and L for London @ gmail.com. So these are my contact details. If you wish to reach out, I'm available there. And for sure, within 24 to 48 hours, I will reach out to you once you reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Nibha Rajpal. And that was a great insight into what family constellations are and what goes into the training of becoming a FC facilitator. Thank you very much. So I'll be back with one more facilitator next week. And this series is a long one. So please attend these and join my channel as well. Thank you and bye for now.